What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you are excited to continue our Dallas Cowboys roster breakdown series. That is exactly why we are here. What is here? Of course, the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel, where if you have not subscribed, what the heck? You are hurting my feelings. But seriously, we are the most subscribed to individual team channel across all of the SB Nation universe. You, all of us are number one. If you want to be a part of that ride, that would be awesome. Please subscribe, like the video, leave a comment down below, all those wonderful things. If you like what I do, you can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at RJ Ochoa, or on the Talk of Tick at rj.ochoa. If you want to send me an email, that's how as well, rj.ochoa at sbnation.com, or you can leave a comment down below, and I will do my very best to get to those. Also, as noted, this is our Dallas Cowboys roster breakdown series. I've been breaking down the Cowboys roster in excruciatingly detailed fashion over the course of a few weeks now. We broke it down the way we did to get us to training camp. That's the whole design, people. It's almost like there's a big plan. Shout out to the Joker, of course. Also, shout out, I know this upsets a lot of you, so T's and P's there, to my Houston Astros, finally above 500 for the first time this season. And I'm recording this on Monday before our game against the Toronto Blue Jays. So hopefully they extend that distance between themselves and that 500 mark. Trying to catch the Seattle Mariners, so we'll see how that ultimately goes. But this is our roster breakdown series for the Cowboys. I've linked to all of the episodes that I've done already to this point in the description down below. We are now on the defensive side of the ball. As I mentioned, this is Monday, July the 1st that I'm putting this video together for you. Later on this week, we'll have our linebacker position up because right now we're going to get to our defensive tackles. And full disclosure, actually, this is a busy week for me. I'm going to be traveling next week, going to be taking a vacation with the fam. It's going to be a lot of fun. Going to do some swimming with the kids. Going to be so much fun. But because of that, I'm going to record some videos in advance. So you have them obviously for next week. And I'll give you all the details for that when we get to each and every single video. But for now, we are here to discuss the Dallas Cowboys defensive tackles. And as I tell you every single time, I I actually already did write it, but I wrote about this and it will be out probably on Tuesday for you at bloggingtheboys.com. If you prefer the text version, it's up to you. Similar sort of discussion, but obviously this allows us to have a face-to-face conversation, you and I. So make sure to check that out. The links to those are also down in the description below. Let's take a look at what the Dallas Cowboys are working with when it comes to defensive tackle here in 2024. And this is going to be a much more simpler conversation than any that we've had to this point relative to the other positions. And you can kind of make this argument about quarterback, I suppose, and Dak Prescott. But this is about one player. Really, this is about one dude. This is about one guy on the Dallas Cowboys. His name, Mazi Smith. First-round draft pick last year. It goes without saying, one of the more disappointing rookie seasons for the Cowboys from a first-round pick specifically in quite some time. In fact, it was, by my estimation, and I would assume your estimation, and really the estimation of anybody, that it was the most disappointing season from a first-round Dallas Cowboys draft pick since Taco Charlton. Something about those Michigan men in the maize and blue for the team with the star on their helmet. Look, Mazi was underwhelming as a rookie. There's just no way to go about it. And I think that we criticized the Cowboys obviously for what happened with Mazi, and I think that's fair on some level, but I think you have to criticize Mazi. I think you have to criticize everything involved here when it goes this badly, this poorly. Where I don't think that we've given the Cowboys, I've tried myself, but where I don't think we've given them enough credit or proper credit is everybody got so upset in free agency when Jonathan Hankins left for basically nothing to the Seattle Seahawks. It seems that following Aiden Dirty was maybe, a potential factor in all of that. But I think that the ideal way to build rosters is to always kind of be looking ahead. We give the Philadelphia Eagles and Howie Roseman a lot of credit for that all the time, right? And the Cowboys this time last year were probably looking at their defensive tackle group and said, Jonathan Hankins is going to help us get through this 2023 season. And then in 2024, Mazi Smith is the great beyond, and we're going to be set with him. And obviously, he did not do anything throughout his rookie season to make us feel like that is a legitimate possibility. And that is a very scary thing. But as I mentioned, the Cowboys are kind of stuck because they kind of have to rely on him. I wouldn't say they're painted into a corner. They obviously could have done something in free agency if they really, truly, totally felt uncomfortable about that. But they obviously didn't do anything in free agency. So they seem content at the very least to lay in the bed that they made themselves. And I'm not saying this, but I think you could make an argument, a very, very loose one, that the hiring of Mike Zimmer was, in large part to help Mazi Smith. If Mike Zimmer does anything for the Cowboys, whether you think that's, throughout the course of just one season, or if he's here for the long haul, if everybody gets an extension and everybody, is happily ever after, if Mike Zimmer does one thing in this return to the Cowboys, and if it's, making Mazi Smith a legitimate NFL player, then it's a smashing success, right? He's kind of, if you look at the starters across the defense, we have no real questions about edge rushers. We've obviously talked about that position group already. Like, as I mentioned, the link to the video and the article are down in the description below. And we'll get to the rest of the group, obviously, throughout the course of the next few weeks. But do you have as many questions if you looked at all 11 starters on defense as you do about this one? No, you don't, because why would you? I mean, and obviously we'll get to Osa Odighizuwa in a moment here, but this is the most questionable starter, not just on the defense of the Dallas Cowboys, I would offer, but the team as a whole. So this is a point on the team where everything kind of has to go right, and Mike Zimmer has to have a high level, a heavy level of influence to make sure that that is the case. It didn't make us feel great when the offseason began, and Mazi obviously had the shoulder surgery, and Luke Schoonmaker was involved in that. But this is one of the most important parts of the Dallas Cowboys team in 2024. And I don't mean to say that in any sort of exaggerated way. I talked about Osa Odighizuwa and how we would get here. Really underrated player. I've said this many times in all sorts of ways, but if not for Micah Parsons, I do think that Osa Odighizuwa would be a more popular player, and a more beloved player, maybe is a better way to put it. I think he'd have more jerseys in the stands at AT&T Stadium is maybe the best way to put it. Osa was awesome as a rookie in 2021. He was obviously part of that same draft class as Micah, and that's why it's difficult to shine when Micah Parsons is kind of taking up all the attention. But been a really solid player and has kind of gotten better each and every single year for the Cowboys. Now, Dan Quinn, who's obviously gone and was obviously the defensive coordinator for all of Osa's career to this point, and that certainly includes Micah as well, and the next player we're going to talk about. But I am so interested to see, because I just said to myself, Mike Zimmer's primary focus is make Mazi Smith a great football player. I really don't care about anything else. And that being said, it will be interesting to see how he utilizes Odighizuwa, how he utilizes everybody, really. I know we're talking about interior linemen here in this video, but I mean, will he float DeMarcus Lawrence inside? We've seen that obviously in the past from Dan Quinn. I mean, will he allow Osa Odighizuwa to have some sort of flexibility, or will he want to be more classic with how he goes about things? And so that being said, Osa Odighizuwa was on Up and Adams a few weeks ago. Might have been a few months ago at this point in time. I wrote about it at the time. Obviously, Kay is great, and she had a great interview with him. And he talked about wanting an extension, wanting a second deal with the Cowboys, and ultimately said the right things. I just, want to make sure, I have a great season. We have a great season, et cetera, et cetera. I would not be shocked if this was Osa's last season with the Dallas Cowboys specifically, just because they will have a lot of players to pay. We know that, right? That's been the constant conversation. And he was even asked about that in an interview with Kay Adams. But he might be, this year's or next year's rather, Tyler Biadasz or Dorrance Armstrong, whoever ultimately walks away, because the Cowboys are so focused on paying this, that, and the other. Remember, next season, Tyler Smith is eligible for a contract extension. So now all of a sudden you got to have some more conversations on top of what you're already having. That being, and on top of that, we've seen, his predecessor sort of in Malik Collins. The Cowboys let him walk in free agency, and he's had a wonderful career outside of the Cowboys. And so maybe that's what the future has in store for Osa Odighizuwa, but he is a very quality NFL player, and the Cowboys are very lucky to have him, obviously, in the room with Mazi Smith. It's another voice to help Mazi obviously grow and develop. Final name we're going to discuss in detail, a little bit of detail, really, because this position group is just kind of Mazi and a little bit of Osa and then everybody else. And Chauncey Golston kind of leads everybody else. Also a part of that 2021 draft class. You might have forgotten by now the Cowboys had 3 third-round selections in that third round. I think I said that twice. They had 3 picks in the third round of the 2021 NFL draft, and they were Osa Odighizuwa, Chauncey Golston, and Nahshon Wright. So obviously Osa is the best one of the group. Chauncey's been, it was a pass rusher, outside rusher, and the Cowboys have kind of floated him inside. Obviously, we've seen them kind of play around with different players in the past in that respect. Fine level of depth. I mean, that's really kind of all Chauncey Golston, I think, offers right now. And some of this, again, is so unknown because we have no real idea about what Mike Zimmer is going to do with this team and how he's going to view these players and how he's going to rotate guys in, if he's going to rotate guys in and around or whatever the case may be. And so Chauncey Golston, I think, is an important name and an important player to watch, obviously. But this position group is really all about what Mazi Smith does and how Osa Digizua can help out, obviously, in his own right. And when you look at, obviously, the group as a whole, as we put it back up on your screen here, it's Mazi Smith, Mazi Smith, Mazi Smith, Mazi Smith. That's all the Dallas Cowboys interior defensive linemen are going to be about in 2024. At least that's all they should be about, because, as mentioned, Osa Digizua in a contract year, Chauncey Golston in a contract year as well, as a part of that 2021 draft class. All due respect, I don't think any of us believe that Justin Rogers, Carl Davis, or Denzel Jackson are going to offer anything serious to this group in 2024. So the only player who we know beyond a shadow of a doubt is a part of the future is Mazi Smith. And given that he was a first-round selection, given that he was the first defensive tackle the Cowboys took in the first round in whatever it was, 30 years at the time, over 30 years at the time, I mean, this has to work. And so every egg is in that basket as far as I'm concerned, and I think as far as you're concerned, which is, why it's such an interesting position group to watch, obviously, over the course of the season. But that does it for our defensive tackle discussion. Again, that was the position that we got into today as a part of our Dallas Cowboys roster breakdown series. I told you at the top that up next would be the linebackers. And so no Micah Parsons in that discussion. Those days are well in the past, but it should be fun nonetheless, getting into Eric Kendricks and Damone Clark and all other sorts of names. It's going to be a lot of fun. But if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing here to the Blog of the Boys YouTube channel, because we have a lot of fun around here. I have a lot of fun, and I appreciate those of you who are a part of the journey, obviously. We're on the march to 30,000 subscribers. We passed 20 a little ways ago, but looking to get to 30 sooner rather than later. So if you can help us be a part of that journey, that would certainly help us out and certainly make me very happy. Who am I? Who am I? Who am me? Who am I? I don't know how to speak anymore. My name is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or Threads at RJ Ochoa, or on TikTok at RJ.Ochoa. If you want to send me an email, you can do so, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or you can leave a comment down below, and I will do my very best to get to those just as soon as I can. As I mentioned, it's going to be kind of a busy week for me here at the office, trying to put all these videos together to make sure that you are taken care of while I am out swimming on vacation with the fam. I'm really looking forward to it, and really looking forward, obviously, to training camp starting, which will be later on this month, because we are officially in the month of July, which is very, very, very exciting. Also, a big thank you to those of you who offered kind words on the Spanish video that we launched here on the channel that I did last week. It was a lot of fun. I can't wait to do it again this week. But thanks so much to all of you for hanging out, and we will see you next time.